puts us at 82, 49, and 8 on the season, hitting at a 62.5% clip.
Back-to-back golden boots. That's 3 in a row for me. 3 too, man. Like, not a dime. That's called being for the people.
It's over! The Columbus Crew, 2023 MLS Cup champions!
Alrighty, welcome in everybody, and welcome back to Sports Prophet TV. This is the MLS Live podcast, and we're talking match week 29. Last week, 2 and 3, I believe, looking to kind of bounce back and hopefully have a big week. It's been kind of no totally terrible weeks dating back to Leagues Cup until last week. Nothing just totally abysmal, but haven't had any great weeks, so definitely want to work towards that this week. And we've got a great card, fantastic slate. Kind of teased it earlier today, but we are going to have a couple of multi-unit plays, and one of those is a rare 3-unit. So big week, good looking Saturday, and excited.
Yeah, we're still up on the season, of course, for MLS. It's just, it feels like there's been this long lull, right? Because Leagues Cup was kind of a dud, and then we come out of Leagues Cup limping a little bit. So yeah, it's going to turn back around. We're due for I think a big show.
Yeah, I think we are due. Like I said, good looking slate. Finally, we're not fresh off of Leagues Cup, so this is everybody's second match. Kind of get your feet back under you and shake off the any Leagues Cup hangover that may have been, right? But right off the bat, we did have somebody, Dave, asking in the chat. This is a match that's going to be kicking off in the next 20, 25 minutes or so. Any prediction on tonight's U.S. Open Cup match between LAFC and Seattle? Garrett, anything on this one?
It's like I told somebody earlier today. Like, I think this match is more of a game you lose money on as opposed to make money on. It's not a great spot. Like, I don't love Seattle here. LAFC is kind of owning them as of late. Like, it is crazy when you look back over the last few seasons, what Seattle would have won, like even just trophy wise, had LAFC not existed. So LAFC just been their bugaboo team. But LAFC it's in a terrible spot coming off of a cup final loss into a midweek match, and then they've got to keep playing. Like, they rotated some here. That defense for LAFC looks a little sketch. So like I haven't even looked at prices here, to be honest, because I wasn't ever planning on playing this game. So both teams to score stands out kind of, but I'm sure it's not playable. And yeah, this is a game very similar to the Philly Crew game that just happened, where literally anything could have happened in that game. It could have gone under. Philly could have won 5-0. Like, they could have done anything because of the hangover effect and that extra variance. You've got that here too. And so I'm 100% just sitting this out. I think LAFC would like trophies, but this is the fourth competition they're a part of this season, and it's also the least important to them. Yeah. They've already qualified for Champions League, so like they don't need to win the U.S. Open Cup to do that. So it's just it's not a great spot.
Yeah, that's pretty well said. As far as this is a match that you could more than likely lose money getting involved in. A pretty easy pass. If I had to give a lean, I'm going under on this one. That would have to be my lean, just because you talked about LAFC. They just got knocked out in the final of Leagues Cup against Columbus. But at the same time, they qualified for CONCACAF Champions League with that elimination because they were the runner-up. So not really any extra motivation to get to the final of U.S. Open Cup necessarily, other than just being a professional. So nothing really added there.
And I don't, like I said, the prices aren't good either. Like I said, both teams to score, like maybe, but that's right at my juice range. Neither team is plus money to advance or to qualify. Like, there's just no real value in this game anywhere for me.
Yeah. And I don't even know about both teams to score. I don't like Rothrock very much for Seattle.
He sucks.
He's tries hard, I guess. That's the best thing I'm going to say about him. Yeah, and then even LAFC, obviously, with a decent amount of rotation. Giroux's hurt, or at least dealing with something. He's not going to be available here. So yeah, I would lean under. That's the only lean that I'd be semi comfortable giving out with this one, just because it feels like an under spot to me. But I don't like LAFC here. I think it's a very tough spot for LAFC. It's a Seattle spot on paper, but I just don't like the Sounders team. Kirk, hilarious. That's pretty much what, that's the correlation there. But anyways, we'll go ahead and start getting into it though.
And even to Dave's point, like with it being at Seattle, that's where LAFC has owned them in their own building. It's just, like I said, there's just no path for me to find something that I really like here. So if y'all gonna play anything, best of luck as always. Like I hope you win. This is just a game that I'll watch, but I won't even watch with that much interest because I don't think it's gonna be a good game.
Yeah, I'll have the game on. I mean, if there's a late night game on, it's going to be on one of my TVs, no doubt about it. All right, let's get into it because as we said at the beginning of the show, really good looking slate in general. Major League Soccer this weekend, match week 29, as far as we're concerned. And Garrett, you were going to kick us off per usual.
Yeah, I said on socials that I got to risk it for the biscuit this weekend because I really like these matchups. And I'm putting almost 10 units on the line across MLS this weekend, just on the show. The show plays alone are going to be about 10 units. So we're going to start here with Orlando hosting Nashville. Man, Nashville is bad. Like it hurts to say. And so here we're going to go with Orlando plus under 3.5 at a nice plus 140. You've got, and like I just going to preface this. We're like 3 of the last 6 home games for Orlando have gone over this 3.5 total. So like I'm not just tossing stuff out. Like I know what's going on. They smashed Chicago 4-2, smashed DC 5-0. That was a red card, but they put up 3 goals before the red card. Smashed Montreal 4-1, which we know Montreal can't travel to save their lives. So that's recent, right? But how their home games are only going over 3.5, 33% of the time this season. So while we got some recent success here, I'm going to stay with the season-long look that I've had with this Orlando team because I think this is the same Orlando team that I thought they were for most of the season. So I'm not changing there. So I'm going to stay with the under 3.5. For Nashville, they're terrible, man. BJ Callahan looks absolutely clueless. And so when that hiring doesn't go well, remember I sounded the alarms first. However, they don't typically hemorrhage goals. 3.5 has only gone over when they're on the road 25% of the time this season. And Nashville are especially more stout when Zimmerman is in that back line. Furthermore, Nashville are just having possession for possession's sake now. That's part of what I mean when I say BJ Callahan looks clueless. Like they went from being a counter team and a team that didn't want possession to now we want possession where we're creeping up into the high 60s, even 70% sometimes of possession. And they're doing nothing with it. So like that's just going to automatically limit the scoring chances in this game, in my opinion, when a team is just having the ball and just passing around and doing nothing with it. They're not creating. Orlando will have less of the ball than they typically do, I believe. And so, yeah, I think here I've got a nice spot to get some plus money where I take the Orlando money line, throw with an under 3.5.
Yeah, I think that's really nice, considering they're minus 200 straight up. And like you said, this is a matchup that look, Nashville's lost 9 straight. So Zimmerman being back, obviously he missed a good amount of time away at the Olympics. They're not good, but yeah, they will defend better with Zimmerman there. He is that important for the back line and the entire defensive unit. And I agree with you. I think Orlando has hit their stride. That 3-0 loss last week to Kansas City was not really a fair result. Stuff happens in soccer all the time. That's like, look at the XGs and look at the chances and look at the matchups and how did this end up this way or that way. Other than that, I mean, this team has looked really good. Was really impressed with how they looked in Leagues Cup at home. I think their season has turned and is going the right direction.
And if the 3.5 scares you, 4.5 is also playable. You're going to eat a little juice.
It doesn't scare me.
Even if you want to protect yourself with Orlando and under 4.5, that's still playable here.
It doesn't scare me because I don't think Nashville will score. I mean, goodness gracious. On the Nashville note, we don't see coaches get hired very often mid-season and not get brought back the next season. So you might be stuck with this for a bit.
Oh no, I expect it, but I'm on the record of saying there's a world where Nashville doesn't win another game this season.
Well, I don't think that'll happen, but
and so if you get hired and don't win a single game the rest of the season,
yeah,
I don't know, it's going to raise an eyebrow.
Yeah, it should raise an eyebrow. I'm with you though. My favorite part of this is the price. I think this is fantastic price. I like this matchup to be a little bit cagey for a bit, 30-minute feeling out period type situation. And I also think, Nashville, they've at least got to play for some pride and defense. So 2-0 Orlando for me in this one. So let's cash that plus money. All right, going on to our next game. Charlotte at home, taking on Atlanta United. Before we get into this one, make sure you guys are liking the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and make sure you're following us on Twitter as well. We did a soft launch of the college football show called College Football Capital on Monday. That's going to be every Monday with me and my guy Clee Picks. It was a soft launch because don't really have all the details ironed out, but we did give out some value. We're also going to have a Tuesday NFL show, and then we'll continue to have our MLS live podcast on Wednesday. So just so everybody's aware of the schedule, and it is our busy season, and this is as busy as it gets. And at the same time, this is what we live for, right? I mean, I love American football. I also love football around the world, soccer, and the best leagues in the world are playing right now on both hemispheres in both sports. So just a really, really fun time of the year. All right, getting into this one. I faded Atlanta last week with Galaxy. I'm fading them again here. This is simple for me. I'm going Charlotte on the money line at home. This has turned into a rivalry. Seems to be. Neither of these teams are, they're both used to playing in front of huge crowds. Some of the biggest crowds in Major League Soccer at both of these teams' home venues. I'm fading this Atlanta team. I know that they got the midfielder from Miranchuk from Atalanta. Like he's an upgrade. Like he makes the team better, no doubt about it. But I just don't. They don't have enough in the final third for me as far as quality. And Charlotte has been so damn good at home defensively. They've got Ream starting now. He came over and plugged in right away at center back. The defense is just locked down central this year. Fun to watch a team like that that's really good at that at home and that puts away their chances. So I think this one's pretty simple. Like I said, Atlanta is still a fade for me. And Charlotte's got their guys. And one of which, who was it? Let me see here. Yeah, so they've got their guys, and I think they get it done here. I'm going to continue to fade Atlanta, and I think that's that.
Yeah, I lean this way as well. Atlanta is just going to come into a lot of matches now. It's just less talent on the pitch than the team they're facing.
Yep.
That's just the reality of the situation. They kind of sent that message when they didn't try to purchase a second DP in this window. to partner with Miranchuk. And so they're just biding their time. And that's fine. I mean, they made 50 million in this window, so I can't really complain. Like, business is good.
Right.
This is just one of those seasons where I think it's not going to work out for them. And then, yeah, you talked about Charlotte. I mean, this show has been a big fan of Charlotte all season. We've got some preseason futures on them that look good right now. And I mean, Reem and Malanda might be the best center back duo in the league.
They're awesome.
Defense is legit. So yeah, at home, I like this spot a lot. I wish it wasn't juice. Like, if I could get this at even money or plus 110 somewhere, that would be awesome. But that's not going to happen. I expect this line to move by kickoff to be even more expensive. So, yep. I mean, like, this is where I lean. I like this look.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I made this like a minus 145, minus 150 range as far as how I would have priced this game, just given current form and current rosters. Even the game situation here. So minus 110, I was surprised at that price, and that's why I'm pulling the trigger. All righty, keeping it moving. Going north of the border to Toronto.
Yeah, so I mean, it's turning into a staple here with DC United and overs, and that's what we're going to do here. At Toronto over 3, going to eat a little juice at minus 130 as they host DC United. This total is pushing or better in 75% of Toronto's home games this season. It's just a killer number where they're getting to 3 or more goals. And then we know DC leaks, right? And then the guy they brought in to try to fix this in the midfield gets a red card in his first game. So DC are back to square one here as he's suspended. Benteke is chasing the golden boot, just signed an extension, so he's going to be with DC United through 2025. And I'll absolutely be on his anytime goal number, as it is plus money right now. And so, yeah, this is one where I could see it going a lot of different ways as far as a result, but I think we at least see 3 goals here easily. And so, for me, this was an easy play to fire even at that juice.
Yeah, I'm with it. Benteke, man, I mean, he's been so fun to watch in this league. Did you mention that they extended him today?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I was reading something about this game. Yeah, and Toronto's healthy, and that's been the big thing for me as far as backing goals with TFC this year. You want them to be healthy. You want them to have all their guys. I've said it before. I thought adding Derek Etienne was a very savvy move for that team, and he's making a lot more difference there than he was in Atlanta. Larea healthy, Bernadeschi healthy, obviously Insigne healthy. Osorio's he's been a staple there. You have all those guys out there healthy, good to go. These guys can score goals at home, and I don't think they have anybody on the field that's going to be able to match up with Benteke, right? So I'm cool with this one. I don't play a lot of
Larea being back and healthy for this team now is such a big deal. Like, he's only played 300 minutes this season due to being injured when he came over back from technically Forest. But now Toronto did play midweek. They played for the Canadian for the Canadian Championship, and like really the best Canadian team there is. And I don't care. Like they did the rotations where they needed to. They played their studs to get it done. They got it done. Those studs are still going to play. Yeah, I like the over here a lot.
Yeah, and I mean this one, I don't play a ton of over 3s, but one thing about it is, you end up 2-1 or 3-0, you push. So always nice to have some push protection. All right, on to the next one here. And this game will be featured later on in the show as well. This is going to be my second play. And I'm going St. Louis team total over 1.5 in this one. I do like LA Galaxy. I don't like them as much on the road. In particular, their defense, right? I mean, we've no reason to necessarily harp on it because we've talked about it pretty much all season long, how the state of this LA Galaxy defense on the road. And And I have liked what I've seen from St. Louis City since they've got their Germans in. I like the way they looked. They wasted no time, picking it up and gelling with the style of soccer that they play there in Leagues Cup, and they have continued to look good. Scored 4 goals on the road against Portland and just an absolute shootout last match, obviously. So I found this at -108 on Bet 105, and I've got a fire here.
Yeah, like I said, I'll do a deeper dive into this game here a little later in the show. But I do like goals here from whoever. In St. Louis, they went in on offense this window, bringing in 2 Germans to help out, and they're going to have to because their defense is the 3rd worst in the league from an expected goals conceded standpoint. So yeah, we'll touch on this more, but anything goals here, I'm A-okay with.
Cool, short and sweet. All right, on to the next one. Chicago Fire hosting Inter Miami. I saw Messi was getting some training today. Obviously not back, but I saw he was getting some work in.
Yeah, he's still weeks away. It's hard to say when he's going to be back exactly, but yeah, he's just doing light individual training. He's not back with the team yet, anything like that, which is good, step in the right direction. But he's definitely, like I said, out for the international window. He's probably out for at least a few games after that window. And so we'll see when he gets back in. But here's what we're going to do here. Both teams to score plus over 2.5. Surprise, surprise. It's Miami. So, of course, they make the show. And then I'm going to bank on Chicago. We banked on Chicago earlier in the season. That worked out pretty well. So we're going to do it again here. Now, the starting center back for Miami, Avalos, is suspended. Man, that dude makes me scratch my head more than almost any other player in the league. Where like he does some great things and then some bonehead things all in the same game. Anyways, he got a red, so he is going to be suspended. Now Chicago have scored in 4 of their last 5 home games, and they're still underperforming their expected goals on the season. I mentioned this because they're among 5 teams in the MLS to be shut out in over 30% of their games. So it's not great, right? Like they're not scoring as much as I would like them to score, but they are in a recent run of good attacking form where they're finding the net at least once every match consistently. Now it also helps that Miami is their opponent, right? Because Miami've only kept a clean sheet on the road in 8% of their games this season.
Wow.
On top of that, when Miami travels, the over 2.5 has hit in 83% of those games this season. So this is just a spot where I just don't think this line should be playable. It should be more -150, -160, somewhere around there. So I think we're getting a slight discount here. And so I'm going to jump on this for 1 unit, as I think Chicago gets 1, and we'll see what Miami does to help out, right? Do they get 2 or more? Do they let Chicago pile it on? We'll see. But I'm comfortable with both teams getting finding the net here, and then maybe somebody finds a winner.
Yeah, I like this. I mean, there's 7, 8 matches, depending on which team you're looking at, left in the MLS regular season. The fact that some of the statistics and the trends that you just brought up at this point in the season, like they're not outliers. Like that's who these teams are. They're teams. Neither of these teams are running lucky or way overproducing to that extent at this point in the season, because we're almost to the end of the season. So Chicago, I like the way they've looked since Shaq has officially departed. They lost both of their Leagues Cup games, but they played well. Actually, they created 4 big chances against Toluca in a kind of home game for Chicago. They played that at their other venue. And Toluca was technically the home team, but they've looked. They've looked better all year without Shaqiri, right? So, and then Miami, Busquets was already having to play center back, and now Aviles is out. So they're going to really be mixing it up back there on the back line. That's going to be interesting to see exactly how they look, but we know they'll score. And I'm right there with you. I think
Chicago gets a nice home bump here. They haven't actually played at home since July 13th. That was their last home game. So what is that, a month and a half? So like,
Golly.
so I think they get a nice little home bump, even though they don't have the biggest turnouts usually.
Yep, I'm right there with you, and I also agree. I think that this price is generous. All right, keeping it moving, and then we're going to end the show with 2 multi-unit plays. All right, this is mine. You also have a game play involving this one, so I'll lead us off here. Yeah, so this is probably my favorite under on the board this week. I'm going under 3 at a -120. You might be able to find a better price somewhere. I only was able to check one book before I jumped on this particular play. Obviously, New York Red Bull at home, very good defensively and have been for many years now. No Forsberg. He's still dealing with some injury. Philadelphia will be on somewhat short rest, having played tonight. And Philadelphia just, for the most part, they've scored some goals on the road situationally, but they haven't created as much. And the big thing here is short rest. I don't see Philadelphia pouring in a crazy amount of goals on the road here. I think this one just ends up being a spot where it's an under that I like to target when you got short rest involved, when you have maybe a little bit of negative regression coming from the Philadelphia side, and then also missing Forsberg. That attack has been a little bit different, right? So I think New York would have to carry this one, in my opinion. I think that's the only way I see this one maybe pushing. I think this is all New York Red Bull probably at the end of the game, but I think they would have to carry the total. I like the way that they kind of throttle down and lock it down once they take a lead, right? I mean, we've seen a lot of 1-0, 2-0 New York Red Bull wins at home over the years. So I think this total's a tick too high, probably a quarter of a goal too high, and I'll take the under.
So this is probably the first play in a while where we just don't see eye to eye. I'm not saying I want the over. I think the under is scary here. So it was good to hear your take and kind of digest that, because I do think it's a terrible spot for Philly. We're talking about their 3rd game in a week. They just sold Damian Lowe on top of having sold Martinez earlier in the window, and that was after the buying window for MLS had closed. So now 2 defensive pieces are gone. I've said it. I think Philly could leak the rest of the year. I didn't count tonight's game because of the hangover effect with the Crew. I mean, the Crew rotated 9 of the 11 people who started that Cup final match. So it's starting this weekend where I'm like, Philly could be in trouble defensively. So we'll see. We'll find out. I will say, like, when it comes to road games, Philly's going over 2.5 for Philly is 83% right now. Yeah, that's a scary percentage, especially when you take away defensive players. And so, yeah, I read maybe Red Bull's 2-0 here, maybe Red Bull's 6-0. Like, I honestly don't know what the scoreline looks here. And so I'll take that and just get into my 2-unit play here, where we're just playing the Red Bulls, man. It is a great spot for the Red Bulls. And the money line is playable at -135. We are having to eat juice on this show, unfortunately, but that's where I think the best plays are. And so we're actually going to hit it for 2 units. Where, again, I love this spot. Philly's 3rd game in a week. And then they're going to the second best home side in the East, where the Red Bulls haven't lost a game at home yet. Like I talked about the guys they've sold and how they aren't getting replaced. And then I think the Red Bulls looked great coming out of Leagues Cup. They went to Charlotte. We just talked about Charlotte's defense, right? They went to Charlotte and put up a 2.14 expected goals in a 1-1 draw. Some of that was just from shot volume. They took 20 shots in that match, but they were going to take their looks. Philly is nowhere near as stout. I mean, they're giving up 2 goals a game on the road on average. And so with it being short rest here, this is just such a good spot for the Red Bull. So I have to fire at this price. Yeah, no,
I feel you on this one. Martinez is the biggest absence for Philadelphia. I do think Philadelphia will be defensive in this game. Now we'll see how that works out, obviously. If they're successful or somewhat successful in keeping this one from being a total blowout. But yeah, I see where you're coming from here. That was a very impressive performance on the road at Charlotte. Part of the reason I like this Red Bull team to potentially make some noise in the playoffs is how good they play on the road. As well at home. I mean, you mentioned their home record this year is also excellent. So, but yeah, 2 unit here and at a nice minus 135. All righty. To end the show here, ladies and gentlemen, we have a ultra rare 3 unit. Yeah, I mean, let's get into it. Everybody should know about 3 units by now.
Yeah, I mean, like we don't toss them around often, so we have to really love a spot. And this is a spot with a 2-legger that I'm putting out here. So the first leg is going to be Cincinnati versus Montreal, and you're going to take Cincinnati team total over 1.5. Montreal has leaked on the road all season long. One of the worst road defenses in the league. This is a smash spot for Cincy, in my opinion. They're hosting Montreal. And with Cincy getting shut out last game, having gone to Miami when they were up a man for like 50 minutes or something like that. I just think this is going to be a let off some steam type match where Montreal, who just got throttled at home by the New England Revolution 5-0, I don't think it's any easier for Montreal here. And I think Cincy easily put away 2, if not more. Montreal have given up 2+ in 9 of their last 10 away matches in all competitions. And the one game that didn't during that span was a Canadian championship game versus Forge FC, who, while Forge are the best team in the Canadian league, they would be the worst team by far in MLS.
Yeah.
So they're just not quality, right? So that's fine. You can throw that one in the trash, but like that's how bad Montreal's been on the road. They just leak constantly. And then we go into leg 2, which is St. Louis and the LA Galaxy. And I'm actually going to go against the stats here as St. Louis. So the second leg, I'll start with the second leg, is going to be over 2.5 goals. That's full game. That's not a team total. It's just full game over 2.5 goals. Both of these legs are super juiced. That's why we're only getting minus 110 for the parlay in general. St. Louis, as less than 40% of their home games have gone over 2.5. So, like, I just want to lead with that, right? Like, I'm aware that this is not a great play from the stat standpoint. But St. Louis have no defense now, thanks to the transfer window. They downgraded from Tim Parker to Kessler, who is not a starting caliber center back, in my opinion. And they're down a holding midfielder with Alm still injured. The last 3 games have been goal fest for St. Louis. You got 3-1 at Portland, or 3-1 at home versus Portland, 4-2 versus Club America in the Leagues Cup, and then 4-4 in Portland. We talked about how they spent money this transfer window on offensive pieces because they're going to have to score, as they have the 3rd worst defense in expected goals allowed in the league. They also happen to be hosting the best attacking side statistically in the MLS, in the LA Galaxy. And the Galaxy's defense happens to also be the 6th worst on that defensive list I just listed with St. Louis. So I've got 2 of the top 6 worst defenses in this game here, with 2 really good attacks, in my opinion. St. Louis is up and coming. We've seen Galaxy's attack all season long. I can only see goals here as these 2 teams face off. And so, yeah, these are my absolute 2 favorite spots on the board this weekend. And I'm going to put them together, and that is the 3 unit.
Awesome. Yeah, Cincy, one added note that'll be nice is having Acosta back. I don't think that one should be overcomplicated. Montreal has been, not good on the road, to say the least, all season. And, you already mentioned their performance last week against the Revs. I think way more often than not, Cincy gets 2+ there. pretty easily. And like you said, it should be a blow off some steam type game as well. St. Louis and LA Galaxy. Love what you said about the defense has been downgraded. The offense has been upgraded. These guys have just been getting after it offensively at home since they brought in those two German two guys. Galaxy, you pretty much hit the nail on the head as far as where Marco Royce was going to slot into that team's 11. And man, that guy is still freaking awesome. Like that was fun watching those guys kick the ball around.
They're just playing to his strengths. They're saying you don't have to create. Puig will do that. You just need to run into the space. And your soccer IQ is so much better than most of the people in this league that it's just going to come natural for you. And so you slide into the space and you will get your opportunities. And that's exactly what happened in that first match. So
smooth, silky smooth. Really fun to see them out there. Jovic is also healthy-ish. So, he'll be able to potentially come off as a sub. I don't know I
don't see Acosta being suspended. You got to remember that yellow cards do drop off after so many games of quote unquote good behavior.
Okay.
So it's not an automatic suspension once you get to a certain magical number with yellows. I don't track all that, but the sites I use to track suspensions don't show him being suspended anywhere.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, it's not a whole lot else to say. I think you summed it up very well. I was looking at Cincinnati money line as a potential parlay piece. Still might end up using them because I do think it is a great spot. And then the St. Louis LA Galaxy game, I don't see very many worlds where that game isn't a ton of fun and tons of chances. And that's what we want. We want the chances. Let the players do their jobs and put the ball in the net for us. That's what we will do with our handicap is we will find games that have more chances than the odds imply, right? So as far as betting totals. All right. Here we go. All right. Well, we gave out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 total show plays, including a 2-unit and a 3-unit. Welcome in everybody that's kind of joining in here at the end. Alberto and Luis, thanks for joining, period. And anybody obviously that's watching this later in the week, we also appreciate you guys watching. Football season's here. American football season is here. So it's going to be a fun weekend. We'll have MLS. We'll have college football kicking off tomorrow night. Tons of Thursday games, probably more Thursday games than I've ever seen in college football. And next week is NFL. So again, I said at the beginning of the show, busy time of the year, fun time of the year. Still got a lot of good MLS left, about 7 or 8 regular season games, and then we're off to the playoffs. And it doesn't get a lot more fun than Major League Soccer playoffs. So we will continue to do shows throughout the playoffs, and hopefully continue to get you guys some winners. Garrett,
I might not be done with the slate. I mean, I talked about at the beginning of the show. Like I've got 10 units on this slate on the show alone, right? Like just how I'm loaded up. But I cannot get my eyes to look away from the Colorado Rapids here. They lead. If you've been a long time watcher of the show, they lead in both big chances created and big chances missed. And you know how much I love when that aligns. They are playing at Dallas. So heat is my issue. Like I want to make sure I get a good pulse on the temperature there and the weather.
Hey, it's cooling off.
That is that Rapids game is one that I'm looking at for some action. We got a big rivalry in Portland and Seattle this weekend.
Yep.
Jonathan Rodriguez is suspended though. And so that has basically made me backpedal. And although it is a good spot for Portland, getting that Seattle's on short rest with a big, like kind of must win game for them tonight. That's just kicked off. I'm not sure where I land on that yet. Jonathan Rodriguez has been a huge part of that team since he came over, and so that is definitely a miss.
Speaking of player availability, one of the games that you just touched on is Musa. What's going on with Musa? He didn't play last match.
He might have gotten a tweak.
Dallas and DC. He wasn't even on the bench, and now obviously that game still had crazy goals. But I was wondering about
his foot's injured, so it's more of a wait and see.
Will that may keep you off of it, or
no?
Okay,
no, it's not. I mean, like it's only a 1 unit play, so like I'm not firing heavy on it, but I don't hate Dallas to score against this DC team. This DC team's defense is awful. So, no, I'm still done with that.
Dallas has really opened it up. So
I'll tell you what, man, if this total in Utah gets to a play like a fairly playable 3.5, I'm gonna be on the under.
Okay.
Yeah, New England has done much better defensively as of late. And I don't think we've been able to see the real effect of Gomez no longer in this team for Real Salt Lake. They haven't scored in their last 2 games. And so you kind of want to be like, well, they're due. I think there's been a fundamental shift here. With Gomez was a huge part of that team. So with him leaving, I lean the under there. I would like to get some action on the San Jose, Minnesota game. I just don't think the total is going to let me. I want goals, but I mean, we're creeping up to 3.5 now. And so I just don't know if I'm going to be able to get in on any action there, but I liked what I saw from Minnesota with the new guys. I think they're going to give up goals, and I think they're going to score. So that's a game that I would like to keep my eye on too.
I liked how Minnesota looked too. That result was actually a little bit unfair, losing 2-3. But I have to say, Michael Boxall, center back for Minnesota, maybe some of the worst center back defending I've seen in Major League Soccer this season. I mean, just horrible angles, and he's definitely up there with some of the worst. So, but that's going to do it, folks. Thanks for joining us as always. Really fun card. Tail them, get them in. Odds will change like they always do. So, other than that, give us a thumbs up if you haven't, and we'll see you guys next Tuesday.
Thanks, guys. Best of luck.